Hey, college wrestling fans, it's JT1Wrestle here. And so far, we have talked about some of the best wrestle offs in the 2025 2026 collegiate wrestling season, NCAA Division I, 125 pounds through 165 pounds. And now we're going to take a look at 174 pounds through heavyweight. And I will be honest with you, I didn't see much that jumped off the page to me at 174, but I see some really good wrestle offs at 184, 197, and at heavyweight. So we're going to start off at the University of Iowa with a phenomenal wrestle off between Angelo Ferrari and Gabe Arnold. Now, I know some of you out there are kind of like giving me the old eyebrow, the old rock eyebrow, being like, you think Gabe Arnold stands a chance against Angelo Ferrari? I understand. I'm as excited about Ferrari as is anybody because we're talking about a guy that held a five-time NCAA Division I champion, Carter Starachi, to a 3-1 decision. On top of that, he defeated multiple-time All-American Dustin Plott of Oklahoma State 6-3, sudden victory, and then he pretty much had his way with Evan Bachman of Iowa State in an 8-2 decision. So I get why we're so excited about Ferrari and why we're on top of it, imagining, having this great image of a duel, the soldier salute, the Big Tens, the NCAAs between Ferrari and Max McAnally. That excites me as much as it does anybody, but I cannot. The laws of probability will not let me count out Gabe Arnold in this wrestle off. Will they allow me to put the over under, put the odds deeply in favor of Ferrari? Yes. But completely count out Gabe Arnold, you are a fool if you are doing that. We're talking about a guy that has a win over All American Jackson Smith, a win over All American DJ Washington, and a win over Round of 12 last year, but All American in 2024, Edmund Ruth. Gabe Arnold is no pushover. This is going to be a good wrestle off, and I wouldn't be surprised if they don't split time this season. And we don't know the actual starter until shortly before the Big Tens. Moving on, we're going to stay in the Hawkeye State, going to drive over to Ames, and we're going to look at a wrestle off between Isaac Dean and Nando Villascusa. Isaac Dean, a transfer of Rider University, was fifth in Cliff Keen, Las Vegas, a Mid American Conference champion, and had a 2-1 win over All American Jackson Smith. Now, of course, whenever a school invests into a transfer, they're looking to get something out of it. I agree with that, but Villascusa is no, again, we're no pushover. Tall, lanky kid has a lot of leverage. Used that leverage last year to have a very impressive 9-6 win over another round of 12 wrestler, Aiden Brino of South Dakota State. So I think that could be a surprise wrestle off. I don't think too many people are looking into that one, but I definitely would keep your eye on that one because that's going to be a good wrestle off. Now we're going to head over to Oklahoma State. And I've been talking a lot about how good the wrestle offs are going to be in Columbus, Ohio at Ohio State. They're going to be every bit as good in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Now, the forerunner here, the guy that we're pretty sure is going to be the starter, is Zach Ryder, who in his red shirt last year, Southern Scuffle champion. He stuck TJ Stewart in 4 minutes and 6 seconds for whatever that's worth. Also had a 4-2 win over Brian Soldano and a 4-1 win over Shane Cartanega Walsh, and also had a 9-2 victory over DJ Parker. So definitely looking very, very tough. Looking like he's going to be the starter, but let's also put into consideration here we also have Jersey Rob, Michigan State Open champion last year, another tough kid. And then also Braden Thompson, who was an NCAA Division I qualifier back in 2024 and was also the Reno Tournament of Champions champion last year. So Zach Ryder, if he is the starter, he's got a lot of competition in the room with Jersey Rob and with Braden Thompson. Could be a better series of wrestle offs than initially anticipated. Next, we're going to go over to an area that I'm pretty sure that actor Billy Baldwin is familiar with. They're going to head over to Binghamton over there in New York. Going to look at Will Ebert taking on Mikey Squires, who is a transfer from Princeton. Will Ebert, in my opinion, was one of the best wrestlers at 184 pounds last year to not be selected for an at-large wild card berth. A little bit inconsistent. That's probably why he wasn't selected. But when this guy's on, 4-3 decision over All American Jackson Smith and a 2-0 decision over uh, Ed Minruth of Illinois, who was an NCAA round of 12, as I mentioned earlier. Mikey Squires has a 3-0 decision over Shane Cartanago Walsh. So whoever wins this wrestle off, I'm pretty sure will earn NCAA Division One qualification this year. Next, I'm going to take a look at. Going to move on up. Going to make like George Jefferson here. We're going to be moving on up to 197 pounds. Um, Here, it's not so much that I think that the varsity spot is on the line. Here, I'm almost positive that who we think is going to be the starter is going to be the starter. In fact, I'm 99.999999999 percent of Penn State varsity status. Josh Barr, NCAA Division One finalist last season. He's not losing a spot, but I want to make it very clear just how deep that weight class is in the Nittany wrestling room. You got Lucas Cochran last year, who had a 5-2 victory over round of 12 Gabe Solars. And then we also have Connor Mirasola, who was the Southern Scuffle champion last year. So again, Barr's not losing a spot, but he's got two guys that are all American potential behind him in the room. Next, believe it or not, we're going to head on over to Ohio State. Have I mentioned Ohio State in these series of best wrestle offs? Yeah, I believe that I have. So we got Seth Shoemate taking on Luke. I'm not pronounce the pronunciation of this last name. I'm not sure how you say. I think it's Yog. Luke Yog, I believe is how you pronounce that, or Yog, or I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Let's call him Luke G for now. So we're looking at Seth Shoemate, who was the NCAA round of 12 last year, and then Luke G was a NCAA Division One qualifier in 2024. Now these guys have met officially. I believe it was back in the 2022-2023 season. So it's been a while since they met, and it was Luke taking a 6-1 decision over Seth. So I'm anxious to see what happens this time when the two battle it out for the varsity spot and at the Ohio State Wrestle Offs. Next, we're going to be moving on to heavyweight. And again, this is going to be one where some people might be like, why are you even mentioning this? Why are we even considering this to be a wrestle off? And I'll tell you why. AJ Ferrari is a national champion and a third place bronze medalist at 197 pounds. And as far as I'm concerned, that's the one of the biggest leaps you can make. 197 up to heavyweight. A 665-pound deadlift is extremely impressive among people that weigh less than 200 pounds. Is it that impressive when you're wrestling a guy that weighs 285 pounds? I'm not sure. I can't say for sure. And although I do believe that Ferrari is going to be the starter, and obviously I think he'll be an All American candidate, maybe even an NCAA champion candidate, we're really going to get a taste. We're really going to see, we're going to get a preview of exactly where he's at as far as being a heavyweight is concerned when he takes on Harley Andrews, who was eighth at the Cliff Keen Las Vegas Invitational last year. We're going to get to see where Ferrari stands as a wrestler at the 285-pound weight class. That's going to be our first glimpse and give us a really good idea of what's next in store for him as the season progresses. That's why I'm interested in that particular wrestle off. And last but not least, in NCAA Division One, I think another really super good wrestle off is going to be at the Army at West Point. We got Brady Colbert taking on Lucas Stoddard, a NCAA Division One qualifier from last year, taking on an NCAA Division One qualifier from 2024. Colbert was third in the Eastern Intercollegiate Wrestling Association last year, also was third at the Southern Scuffle, and he won the Layman Open at Franklin and Marshall. Stoddard last year was the runner up at the Southern Scuffle. So we got the Southern Scuffle silver medalist taking on the Southern Scuffle bronze medalist from last year. I think this is going to be a really, really great wrestle off. So far, I've given you NCAA Division One. We are now complete with all of the great wrestle offs, 125 through heavyweight. I hope you enjoy these wrestle offs as much as I do, and I hope you're looking forward to them as much as I am.